And on the sort of signs of life for the police reform legislation being sort of hammered out between Senator Cory Booker and Senator Tim Scott, as well as the compromise voting reform that Manchin has floated, where are you on those, Jason?
So as far as Booker and Tim Scott going, I don't have a lot of confidence in where police reform is going to end up. I think at best at this point, given the resistance from the Republicans, we'll get a big old database of this is where people are getting killed. Is that progress? Yes. But if the database cannot be used to enforce consent decrees and actual change in behavior and eliminate some of these departments and replace them, I don't know that that does any good. As far as Manchin, this is progress. This is absolutely progress. I am thrilled because after all of this time, now we actually know what he wants. We can negotiate. The problem that I always had with Manchin, and to a lesser extent Sinema, is he kept complaining about what he didn't like. It's the guy who's like, I don't want Italian, I don't want Chinese, I don't want Indian tonight. Well, dude, where do you want to go to dinner? Well, now we know. And so now real negotiations can happen. So I think Manchin's This is a good step forward for everybody.
It is a high bar for Jason Johnson to give a good review. I'm sort of in shock. But
Jason, are you okay?
But
I know. I'm just like, I got to check my head. Am I all right?
No, but it is a breakthrough. I mean, Manchin has played the role of a spoiler around this. And to actually be someone putting something out there is a big step.
Yeah, I think what's important to remember here is how the internal workings of the Senate are playing out. You know, I made the analogy that what Chuck Schumer wants to do is get everybody on one side of the room together. Well, he had kind of done that, and there was only one guy on the other side of the room. So that group on that one side of the room, they are the ones that were putting pressure on Joe Manchin to come with something. He sent his proposals to the members, not to Chuck Schumer, not to activists, not to the civil rights groups, but to his fellow colleagues in the Democratic caucus. He was signaling to them, hey, I'm with you on early voting. I'm with you on making the election day a holiday. I'm with you on some of this stuff. I just don't want public financing of campaigns and some of the other things that were in H.R. 1. So Jason's right. Now the negotiations begin. And the question is, and this is where Joe Manchin still has a lot of pressure, can he bring any Republicans?
Well, and I think that what has become clear, and it has taken all of us as a media, and I think we've learned from the state media, the state reporters writing on these laws, it's taken a long time to really understand the most insidious aspects of these laws. They're in multiple buckets. One is disempowering the few election officials who sort of walk the line, Democratic and Republican election officials. But now in the case of Raffensperger, you know, Trump is cheering him today for rushing through and supporting this voter suppression law. What does the Manchin bill do to protect against those sort of dismantling the kinds of people that decide about elections? And then what does it do in the actual bucket of the egregious voter suppression and disenfranchisement?
Yeah, I think this really is a move forward, and it's a parade worthy. It might be a little parade, but look, the important thing, and I think this is what Stacey Abrams is thinking about, is federal law trumps state law. So the Manchin bill says, first, speaking of federal holidays, Election Day would be a federal holiday. Everybody could vote. That's always been a big problem. Absentee ballots for 15 days. Tries to do something with gerrymandering. Tries to do something. Motor voter is basically in there. That's a lot, and it could edge forward. And this from a guy who seemed to be staying on the sidelines and doing nothing. So I think it's a pretty big step forward. And the main point is, if were it to pass, anything in state laws, Texas, Georgia, Arizona, that is inconsistent with it, goes by the board. So some of the nastiest stuff becomes null and void in a stroke. That's what matters the most. I think you've got to keep your eye on combating the movement in the states as much as passing a full-bodied bill for voting rights.
I want to make sure I understand that. So any federal voting rights legislation wipes out all of these state bills?
It preempts it. Article 6. You know,
so nerdy.
I love being here. You can't have federal law, state law that's inconsistent. If they say 15 days absentee and these guys want to say sorry, forget about it. So the provisions that it actually enacts as a matter of federal law, it defeats, it occupies the field in state law. That's, I think, the big ticket item here.
So, Phil Rucker, that certainly changes the politics of all this. And I think it's exasperating that Joe Manchin has the power that he has. But to Jason's point, something from Manchin that he could support is a million times over better than nothing, than no federal legislation.
That's exactly right, Nicolle. This is a big step forward for voting rights because, look, it's been several months now that we've had discussions on Capitol Hill about what to do here, and Manchin had not moved. And the numbers just weren't there to add up in the Senate, at least, to support the bill that long ago had already passed the House. And things were effectively at a stalemate. And what you had in President Biden and his team at the White House were people willing to be patient. They waited week after week to try to see something come together, to try to bring Manchin to the table, to try to perhaps get some bipartisan support from across the aisle. And now you're starting to see those glimmers of hope that you described in the opening commentary. And, we'll see if this ends up passing and how quickly and what that actually looks like at the end. But for Manchin to put his cards on the table like this is indeed a step forward from where the discussion had been just yesterday.